Until Dawn is a horror game where the choices you make impact the story and the fate of the characters you handle.
Crazy. Jessica.
Atmosphere. Until Dawn has the same level of suspense you get from the average modern-day horror film. It builds itself up in a similar style, but has the added level of immersion you get from playing the game. The creepy locations and level of realism in the character's appearance and animation make Until Dawn more haunting because it's very realistic. There's a deep foreboding atmosphere from the start, with features like the totems warning you there will be loss, death, or danger. It puts the player in a situation expecting something terrible to happen, and trying to figure out how to prevent it. Even when the characters are being light-hearted or joking around, there's always the feeling that something is going to happen in the back of your mind. 1 Harry Mason. Scares. The scares in Until Dawn are unfortunately often jump scares with sudden surprises, characters trying to scare other characters, and more sinister things. The more intense parts of the game see the player making quick decisions that can often see a character living or dying. The feeling of making a quick time-based decision that pays off is immensely rewarding yet exhausting, but making the wrong decision and killing off a character you've grown to like feels like an utter failure on your part. One of the more interesting features of the game requires the player to hold the controller still in intense situations, which can often take the player by surprise, failing the section and resulting in negative effects. All of this works in the game's favour, but none of it really scared me enough to give it the point. So that's still 1 Harry Mason. Sound design. The sound design is great. It's a clear nod to all the horror films that inspired it. The voices are great, the haunting noises and the way they sound are decent enough. That's 2 Harry Masons. Gore. It's sudden and surprising when it turns up. Decapitation, mutilation, and grotesque monsters. The realism of the characters and how human they appear make all their demises the more shocking. It's not excessive, it's realistic, and that's why it works. That's 3 Harry Masons. Story. The story follows 8 characters as they revisit the lodge where 2 of their friends died in an accident they arguably caused the year before, but soon find that the Snowy Mountain Lodge is not going to let them forget the past. The story is hard to comment on, because my experience may have differed from yours. The story itself has loads of interesting turns and utterly surprised me several times. You feel the exhaustion of the characters as they try time and time again to escape or get to the bottom of something for it to fail. Making hard choices and choosing one character over another makes you feel like you're playing God with some things, but sometimes you're just as helpless as they are to escape the scenario they're in. I was extremely interested to see how it progressed, grew to like and dislike certain characters and worked hard to keep them all alive. Ultimately, this is far more of a challenge than you can possibly imagine. I think this is what makes the story possibly the most interesting part of the game.
Oh god.
The final score is 4 out of 5 Harry Masons. Despite the feeling of it being like an interactive movie, there's something I like about Until Dawn. Maybe it's because I like bad horror movies, or maybe it's the feeling of adventure you get later into the game, or the determination to right all the wrongs horror movie characters have been making all these years. Again, I'd like to remind you the whole thing is down to my opinion on horror games, and if you don't share this opinion, then that's cool. I get it. I'd like to point out that whilst I did make several bad decisions in the game, I did not scream like a banshee or run away from the computer, and I advise you don't either. There'll be more horror reviews in the pipeline, and thanks for watching. Always go check out Bumps in the Middle of the Night. Peace.